Yeah, I guess like because we're going to talk about just stress, right? So welcome to the BMI Podcast, guys.
Welcome.
We had a cracker of a joke that I'll probably put on the podcast before this. So today we're actually talking about business, actually, just before this podcast started, and just dealing with the daily stresses as an entrepreneur. And I think that's something we probably need to touch on because has it never been harder? I don't know. You can think of it that way. I think it's never been harder but it's never been easier with the tools that we've been given.
Yeah.
So like the entry,
We have the most opportunity that we've probably ever had.
Yep.
And yet at the same time, and again, like it's hard to say because we can only relate that back to the time that we're in now. Like we only know what we know.
That's what we're experiencing now. But
Yeah.
like if you can still do an analysis basis and look back and go, fuck, that would be hard. Like when I started in real estate, we didn't have the social media. I was fucking door knocking.
Yeah.
I was door knocking.
Yep.
You know, and then everyone that did sales back in the days as well was door knocking. Like you wanted to sell heat pumps, you were off door knocking.
Well, and I think that's actually quite telling too. Like, and especially with as hard as it's been, both in a business sense, but with the amount of opportunity we have, I think with that opportunity comes a whole host of stresses. Because at that point, it opens the door to the floodgate of comparison. Yeah. And as soon as you start comparing yourself, it's the line, comparison's the thief of joy.
Yeah, well, when that device is in front of you, I think this is apparent, like not being sexist or whatnot, but for females, they see everything through that screen and they just want that. And we've never had that in front of us. Yeah. So like we've never like... I think someone was talking about the grandparents as well. Like your grandparents didn't know how fucking jacked old Johnny was fucking 2 townships over.
Hard.
You know, that could easily just drop you a DM nowadays and you'd be like, ooh, sweet, and float over there. Yeah. But like, we've never had everything just sort of on our front lap like this before.
And I think that's very similar with people in success. Because if you look at, if you own a business, there's surely something on social media that you see of someone else who also owns a business, and likely from a different country, and likely doing very well for themselves. Yeah. And all you see, just as the same as what you see as a highlight reel of people's relationships, you see a highlight reel of people's financial successes. They might be getting a new car, they might be getting a new house, and all you see is the people around you winning at life or perceived winning at life. But really, you have absolutely no idea what goes on behind the camera. Yeah. And that 10th car that they've now got as potentially something that they're just leasing. Yeah. And you don't even know.
Yeah, I definitely feel victim to that as well, because I am on social media and I'm trying to build my personal brand right now and trying to create videos. And it is hard. You do see the guys that are just like seem like they've got it all together. They're really good at making content. Yep. And I'm struggling to try and figure out how to make captivating content right now because I'm doing the work. Yep. And I was like, fuck, I struggle. Like, yes, I guess I need to get to a certain point where maybe I have someone that's doing that for me and I can just focus on bringing in the dollars and focus on the business and the development. But I do feel it's just like, man, a lot of them are doing it themselves. And I was like, how the fuck are you doing it? Like, I'm struggling. And maybe it's barriers that I need to break through and I need to understand that, I can do more, or it is a numbers thing, like a bit more practice and I'll get better at it. Like I think I have noticed I'm editing in a shorter period of time, but you're right. Like the comparison is there, and I guess it kind of makes me want to try harder, which is, I think it can be good, but it also can be bad because some days when you're like, God, like if things start to go wrong, you start thinking like, well, why am I doing all of this? And being stressful as an entrepreneur, I think it comes with it. Like if you want to be an entrepreneur, for the listeners out there, and you can't deal with stress, I would probably address that before you can dive into the pool of entrepreneurship.
It's part and parcel. And I think the reason I bring up social media side of it, and whether or not that's, relationship comparison or success comparison and whatnot, is because I think that essentially starts to manifest the highs and the lows. Like we only see the highs. And so when actually we're going through, like I said, the undulation, the ups and downs, we don't know that other people are doing that too. And so we only get the comparison of their good versus our bad.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get that, like the stress of the whole situation, regardless of whatever that situation is, can get the better of us. And it's very easy to see why people would quit, why people would give up, and how that then goes on and impacts the relationships that they're in. And so being able to, I think, one, understand that it's completely normal to go through ups and downs, that everything, even people's successes, and there's some people actually that, I won't say names, but that I know that have had, they've owned supermarkets and things like that. And on the outset, it looks very successful. But then you hear about, the risk that goes in and then losing completely everything because it didn't go well. And their normalization towards that is just on a different level to me. Like I look at that and I'm like, how the fuck could you deal with that?
Yeah.
Like,
only one bag quarter. That's all, it's not
hard.
a year.
No.
One bag quarter.
Everything's gone.
And then you're gone. Yeah.
Millions of dollars gone down the drain.
Oh, you're building up my anxiety, mate, because that's what development is.
Yeah.
That's what property development is.
Yeah.
And that's what it's been for the lead up for me, just getting this loan sorted, finally but then I finally got it approved, and now it's like, okay, well, now this is where the real stress starts because everything's on the line. You move that bank has ownership over your land, and if you do not execute, they will snatch that from you, and all of your equity that you had in that land is gone.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
But I consider myself lucky because I've already gone through that on this development that I'm living in now. And I was lucky that I had at least a 50-50 spread of that, what do you call it, danger of losing my property as well. Like, whereas, it was the exposure was 50-50 versus now it's all on me.
Yep.
Well, I brought my family into it as well, but they kind of just get a unit out of it.
Yeah.
But it's all sort of, it piles on.
Yeah.
But I at least have that experience, and I know, well, I've done it before, and I think that can be quite reassuring for me. Whereas I think for some people going through something, they don't know that if they're going to come out the other side of it, and it can be quite stressful. And today I had one where I've got to put together, I don't know, 150 documents for the QS right now to get them to release my money. And I've already been through it on the last one, so I know what I was going through, but it's still quite overwhelming going like, man, I'm at 40%.
Yep.
And like the longer I take to get this information to them, the more delay that goes into my project. And it's just, and I've got a few moving parts. Like I've already moved mum and dad out of there. We need to move our mortgage out of the current mortgage it's in so that we can start paying rent where they are. And it's, that sort of stuff that it piles on.
Yep.
And it's weird because I know, and this is from the last time, it's the pinch right now for me. I'm right in the middle of the pinch, and I was saying, like with Judith today, when that was all piling on me, I had to go outside and just breathe and like soak up the fresh air, and think it'll get done when it gets done. And I was telling Judith when we were out going for a walk, and I was like, man, like this is the moment, like where you get past that point, and you're like, oh God, thank goodness I get past that. And then you'll the stress levels will go down a little bit until it starts ramping up for the next thing, and that's how life does. It kind of ebbs and flows, and it bottlenecks you into a tough spot to build your resilience, and then you get through it, and then you're like, fuck yes, I got through that. And then you've got a bit more strength for the next hurdle.
I was going to say, but especially because it's a constant ebb and flow, and that's what I mean. Like, as soon as we start comparing to other people, and particularly other people in what we see, if you listen to the previous one, picking it'll be on the previous one, where I kind of said, I am becoming more okay with saying that I'm not doing so well.
Yeah,
Like it's a bit of a shitty time as opposed to just only saying it's a good time.
Yeah.
That isn't normalized.
Yeah.
And so even when you're talking to people and you're asking them like, yeah, how are you doing? And they're saying, yeah, good.
Yeah.
You're only at that point probably projecting what you think
what you're
success
wanting.
is out of them instead of actually hearing the realistic answer. And so a lot of the time, whether that's on social media or when talking to other people, you're probably only getting the highlight reel because not many people, rightly or wrongly, are being real at that point in time. And half of that's because, fucking saying, how are you over a supermarket till is probably not the interim to being like, oh yeah, man, I'm fucking stressed out right now.
Rent just went up.
Yeah, rent just went up. My fucking.
You know your groceries are more expensive.
Yeah.
I know them. I'm front line.
Exactly. It's not the time and place.
Yeah.
And so good is almost the easy answer.
Yeah.
But those ebbs and flows occur, and we all end up going through them. And I mean, it's when we're down that often, or we're struggling, that often that's where we. I know you mentioned it already, but it kind of propels some people into action. And then at the same time, it also fuels procrastination.
Yeah.
And so often it can do both.
Yeah.
I know for
that's
me.
entrepreneurship though.
Yeah.
And like only the fittest will survive, and like if they end up procrastinating, like they maybe weren't cut out for it,
How do you have you ever overcome, I guess you have because you already mentioned it, today, like overcoming some of that procrastination or overcoming some of that overwhelm. Like, I don't know, you mentioned kind of just going outside and taking a breath, but is there anything specifically that you do for that?
Well, I've been meditating every morning, and that's a part of my Live Hard that I've been doing at the moment. And I don't know if I think it's working because there are moments where I'm picking up like, hey, you're feeling this kind of way, or like that's winding you up way more than it should have. And even just conversing to Judith, like before I fucking blow my lid, like today, for example, she walked in and man, I was in the middle of trying to send off something important. Boom, came in, just asked me a simple question, and I was like, oh man, what the fuck was I doing? But I knew it was important. And I was like, oh man, sorry, like, can you leave me alone right now? Like, I'm just trying to like bring that back. And it's really hard with all of this stuff, being the project manager and having a lot of moving parts going. You can be in the middle of doing anything and it'll pop up. And if you don't fucking make a little mental note or something like that, it's going to disappear and just reappear again at like the worst time again. Like I've had that in bed, going to sleep, and I was like, that was the thing that I need to remember. And I go, well, I'll remember that in the morning. And then I go, are you going to remember that in the morning?
Yeah,
like it's hard to, you kind of need to just learn to roll with the punches. I would say it's really hard to try and have something in place for that.
Yep.
Maybe even, I don't know, I would say having a break would probably be good for me, but I'm not doing that at the moment. So I would say I'm looking forward to a break. But I also am thoughtful to the fact that this hard period will come. Once I get that 100% of the documents ready for the QS, that's done. That part's done. And whereas when I go to project management on the site, I kind of find that stuff more my bread and butter.
Yep.
Paperwork and stuff, it can be quite annoying and it takes a lot of time because everyone else in business, like, well, I got to get quotes for them.
Yep.
Everyone else is working as well,
yep.
like I am.
Yep.
So it'll be like someone trying to ask me to do something that like just pops up out of nowhere and expecting them to drop everything and get that thing done. It's like it's really hard because everyone else is out there working and trying to keep moving forward. So yeah, like I would say I would struggle to have a thing that would help me. I would say just grit it out is what I tend to do, and ask for help. Like whenever I'm really struggling, I just say to Judith, like I just need your help today. Like I'm flat out, like no questions asked. Like whenever I'm after some food, can I have some food? Or a couple of days ago, we ended up having a shootout. Every minute of our day was booked for us, and I said to her when she got home, hey, sorry, like this and this and this and this and this has to happen, and then after that we're gonna go this and this, and then this and this and this, and then she was like, oh, okay, and I was like, can we fit that in? And just like, maybe. And then can we move that around? Sweet. Like just trying to figure it out because there's a lot of stuff that like has to get done.
Yep.
And nothing can move forward. And, you know, you have the big rocks that you got to move.
Are there ever times that, I don't know, that almost feels overwhelming? Because by the sounds of it, it's almost like it does propel action in a way, like the stress that's there. It's almost like, fuck, like it needs to get done. And so it becomes the priority.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where it was obviously the priority, but not by action? So it was like, because of that, I'm just going to do everything else except the thing I need to do?
Like procrastinating or something
basically.
like that. Yeah. Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah.
I should have had 80% of those documents ready for him. Like, no, like I'm not trying to say that I'm like super busy all the time.
Yep.
I kind of bottleneck myself into it.
For sure.
Like, you know, I've been trying to get this finance for 5 months now.
Yep.
You know, coming up to 5 months. I could have got that shit done.
Yeah.
You
right.
know, like so that's why I don't really go pointing fingers as
Yep.
well. It's no one else's fault but my own.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I just gotta. It's hard to because with that stuff you don't know everything they require.
Yeah.
You can assume,
Yep.
guess, prepare as well as you can, but then I still would have had to go. So like I got prices at a month and a half ago. I still have to go and get those updated to today's date.
Yep.
So I had to get them, and then I have to sign accept them.
Yeah.
Like all those quotes, even though like they will, like, because all people with quotes, some of them have 14-day. This is valid for 14 days. This is valid for 30 days. You know, that's pretty much most people's quotes because they don't want to have a quote sitting out there for 10 months or something like that. But all of these ones are quite big quotes, so when I go back to them, I get them on the phone and I'm like, yeah, hey, can you update that? Yep, sweet as. Price will still be the same. And I'm like, yep, because I need to make sure that my budget still lines up. And then they're like, yeah, sweet, but it's been 4 days.
Yeah.
You know, and then I send another text today. You know, and it's hard because they've already done the work.
Yeah.
It's not, I just want you to go in and change the date, you know, but then they kind of might want to once over it again because it has been 2 months. Have I had any price increases on any materials in that particular quote set?
Yep.
So, yeah, like I could say, you know, it's half my fault and I had procrastinated my way up to that point.
Yep.
Yeah. And now I'm forced to just knuckle down.
For sure. And I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see the counter to that because I'll be similar, right? Like if I'm busy, a lot of the times I need that busyness is almost stress inducing to a point where it forces you to take action. Like you can't not do anything because you've got so many things on. And so it actually forces you to a point where you actually just have to choose.
Yeah.
And then by nature of just choosing, you then end up getting things done.
Yeah.
And obviously the more you procrastinate, like the more that choice becomes the thing you need to make.
Yeah.
The longer you procrastinate, like it's more imminent to make that choice. And a lot of the times it almost forces a choice. So I've found sometimes like if I don't make a choice and I procrastinate, it gets to a certain point, like there's so much pressure built up between that choice that the choice is made for me.
Yeah.
Which isn't ideal because it's often the choice that you don't want to make. But you end up needing to make it purely by fact that you haven't done something for such a long period of time. And so it forces action. And sometimes I almost find that feels good because it's like,
yeah, it's
I'm
one
fucking
less
ticking a
decision.
box.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I had that with the builder for the house that we're relocating.
Yep.
I could have got it kind of just went, I got my approval for the finance. Sweet, we can move the house. And then it was like, boom, 1 week it was already there in place. I'm like, well, I haven't planned for this, have I? So I hadn't got a builder lined up. So then I kind of got a couple builders along and like whoever's getting me the price first gets the job, mate. Because that's sitting cut in half, you know? So like it's the same thing as that. Like you're like, so I'm forced into it. And sometimes those things are nice. I'm very good at making decisions quick though. Judith hates how, I guess, the thing is I think my mind analyzes it really quickly and then I make a decision. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs that I follow and they're just the people that do fail, fail, fail versus the guy that's waiting to not have any of those fails in there will absolutely kick this person's ass.
And that was very similar with the grocery store. You know, it's like the fear of failure there just it was there, but it was so much less than what I could perceive, because the fear of losing those millions of dollars that was invested would paralyze me to make that choice in the first place.
Yeah.
But for them, they're so used to winning and losing that it was just the game. And it was just like, yeah, they're playing at a bigger stake, but it's the same game as when it was at a lower stake.
Yeah.
And they're so accustomed to that it was normal. But I think the key to kind of like, if you're feeling overwhelmed because of busyness, like if things are going crazy and you are just, you're stressed because of busyness, like I think it's probably good, like you said, to just go outside and take a breath. Like whatever your version of going outside is, like the version of stepping back and just being like, fuck. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I just had to take my eyes off of it. Like I was just caught.
Yep.
Fucking circling, going like, what's next? What's next? And I was like, man, like, whoa, chill out. You brought up a good point, and I journal every day when things start, feeling like quite a lot. And it's part of my live hard is one of my tasks that I've added in, even though I have been doing it, but I just want that to really, really stick in there.
Yep.
And every day I will be like, man, I'm so lucky to be this busy.
Yep.
Like this is, or like along the lines of, this is what you wish for, so don't complain about it. Like you were begging to have this kind of pressure, this kind of, money coming my way, or like this opportunity. Like you were constantly begging, society to give that to you. And so I journal every day. I go, okay, so that's always my last, when I write it down before I go to bed, I would always be like, man, literally would be like, super blessed to be this busy, or super lucky, I'm so grateful, like it's, and then that kind of gets me out of that mindset of like, oh, fucking poor me, I'm busy. Like, and because I also understand I'm not the fucking busiest person. I see other people out there killing it, getting after it, not just through the phone, seeing it, knowing actual people that are just going hard. And so that gives me, I even look at Judith's parents as that aspect. Like they don't have days off. Like we almost don't have days off, but we still get a day off once a month, twice a month maybe. They get no days off. And then they also have to allow for their kid when they want to come and have dinner, like tonight.
Do you use your journal to set up kind of like task lists for the day?
So I always do with the 8 critical tasks. So you've got the 5 that's already there from the 75 hard. And then I add 3 additional. So and then I write that the next day. So I write that the night for the next day. Right. So then it's out set for me, which it stayed the same though, which is create content, journal, and meditation. So, and then I have to get those ticked off outside of the 75 hard app for me to click the 8 critical tasks.
Do you do work ones as well? So like for the development, do you break down your development into this is what I need to do today, or not so much?
No, so I use the Notion app. So I use the Notion app for, it's more of a checklist. And I when I get in those moments and I go, shit, what do I need to do? If I have a moment where I've kind of done the thing that I knew that I needed to do, I was like, okay, what else can I pick up? I'll pick up the app and then I'll go into where I have, because I use that app for those moments where I say to you, if it came up in my head during the middle of something, I'll quickly go to the app and put it into there, because then that way it's there, and then it's, most of the stuff that is urgent just never leaves my mind. So that kind of like the Alex Hormozy mindset, how like there is the 5% of your business that's getting you towards 80% of the business. Like it's true. Like there are the big ones that are just don't leave me alone. So I go and get those done. And then once they're done, I go, okay, sweet. Now I pick up the small tasks. And that's how I filter through the stuff that I need to get done. Because all of that other stuff, like it is true, like what Alex Hormozy says, like they are stuff that's still important. Maybe it's better to delegate that stuff, whereas mine, it's not really in a position for delegation just yet. Maybe if I do another 5 or 6 developments, I would probably delegate a lot more.
Definitely. I mean, I would use the journal as opposed to say Notion, but I'd do something similar. So pretty much all thoughts just kind of immediately go into like my notes app on the phone,
Yep.
Or directly into my journal. And then I normally review my notes app to see if I've put anything in there at the end of the day that needs to be transferred to the journal. And then in the morning, like my version of stepping back is just waking up early.
Yeah.
And so for me, like when I'm feeling overwhelmed, most of the time, if I wake up early enough, it's quiet, there's enough space for me to just be like, okay, cool. Like, where am I at? What do I need to get done? And at that point, that's where actually the journal comes in handy, because then I can just write down, okay, today, what is my 5%? Like, what are the things I actually need to do today that's going to get me ahead? That's going to have the biggest impact. And those things go down in the journal just as a tick list. And I try not to overcomplicate it. Like it's max 5 things. If not, I try to keep it to about 3 things.
Yeah.
Because realistically, anything more than that, and you're kind of just fart-assing around.
Yeah.
And so I try to really just be specific of what are those things that are going to kind of shift the needle. And often once you tick, if you find a big enough one, like one that's actually important, it ticks off about 5 other different little things at the same time. So I always just end up, my version of it would be the journal instead of Notion, but I think it's probably very similar.
Yeah, well, like I got that off of you because you said you use your notes. Remember, me and you and Judith were talking about it in the kitchen quite a while ago, and because I said I had a problem for that. I would have things come in and then gone. Just like it became a problem. And my old business partner, actually, it's quite funny. He and even people in real estate, they hated how I didn't have a schedule or a journal. And they were like, "You don't have a schedule?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just remember." Like, and it really pissed them off. But like, I can't get away with that shit now. Like, and even on the last development, there were a few mistakes that definitely could have been avoided. Judith's really good at it. Like, I really enjoy her looking after the coffee business because she puts everything in there. So then whenever I'm trying to book my meetings, I know whether I'm needed or not. So then I was like, actually, I can jump in on Thursday afternoon. Sweet. So that's a weakness of mine. So I will work on that.
It'd be interesting then. So if you flipped in reverse, so that was hecticness. What about time down, or like downtime, time off? How do you deal with not being so busy?
Oh, I struggle.
Yeah.
When we had those 10 days of everyone like being quite quiet, we got, it's crazy to even say it because like Judith does a sort of a coloured dots on our calendar to see how many days off we get. So until that weekend, so the last 2 long weekends, the first one was our second 2-day weekend of the year so far. And then we got 2 in a row. And we were like, what the fuck do we do with ourselves? Like, because we've never had 2 days in a row. And it became like, shit, oh well. And like, we didn't have any bookings to prepare for. Like, normally when we get a bit of downtime, we're like, okay, well, we got a booking tomorrow. Like, let's start getting the carts ready or prepping for something like that. Or Judith will start baking. I will address that when I get to it. Like I said to Judith, probably in about 4 or 5 years, there's gonna be a moment where I'm gonna be like, man, I'm gonna really struggle to take my foot off the pedal, just because it's what I'm accustomed to.
Any time that has been like just quiet in general, or where you felt like you haven't had a lot of work to do, that's caused any stress? Like, so I can think, I'll bring up my situation, and that might kind of spark something or not. But like, I know when we get quiet, for me, that kind of inherently, of course, like when you get quiet, it sparks the threat of, oh, fuck, how long are we going to remain open for? Are we going to be able to continue doing this thing, that type of thing? And of course, like as soon as you get you have to take the highs and you have to take the lows. And every time the low comes in, that type of thing kind of comes in, and I continuously second guess. But at the same time, I always found like I bottleneck myself into overthinking that.
We're past we're blessed. Knock on wood, we keep staying this consistent. And now even Judith's past it as well. I've been in business for a while. I understand like there are going to be moments. I always understand that we will get through it anyway. Like you just figure it out. And I can lean into that and not stress about it. And Judith really struggled with that.
Is there anything you've done in the past when you did have to go through that that led you to the place of understanding not to stress about it? Because it's almost like telling someone who's angry not to get angry.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's all good, but
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's all good, but you need to just calm down. Calm down, mate.
and then you're like,
Oh, hold on, I didn't fucking try that.
oh yeah, I know, but I still want to smack. Like,
Yeah. So what I done in the past, I guess I just started like looking over it with it always, geez, I'm jumbling my words a bit, but back in the days, I would use that as my moment of like, all right, this is how I can get better.
Yep.
How do I not put myself back in this situation again?
Yep.
How do I like, so what is, you can start tracing your steps. What's made me stress? All right, well, we've got gaps in our schedule.
Yep.
Or why do we have gaps in the schedule? It was 3 months of no gaps. I was like, okay, well, like, how do we do when it came to customer service or making sure our product is good enough during that 3 months? It's those moments there where I think a lot of people, like it's just almost like getting my documents ready, like those 3 months I could have produced all of those documents or 80% of them for them and been sitting there ready. Okay. And it's kind of like learning while you're in the good times, learn how to keep it a good time versus just waiting for those gaps and then you start panicking. And then because I feel like when you're under stress, you make stupid decisions as well. Like, cause it's almost like negotiating a sales deal. Like, I'm comfortable, I've got commission, I'm not desperate to sell this, but you can smell when someone's like desperate, and then that doesn't look good on your business as well when you're like chasing up calls or something like that and be like, hey bro, when are you going to sign up, or when can I book you in?
Yep.
It's just like, oh bro, this guy's hurting, and that doesn't instill confidence in them.
Yep.
Versus like, oh well, do I start up a program with him because maybe he's going out, and I'm not saying you, but maybe he's going out, like that's a thought pattern that can come.
Yep.
So like it's trying to preempt it, really, like is probably a short answer for that is I realize for Judith what level of busy she needs for it to be comfortable, and then just constantly reiterating in those moments when we were quiet and going like, sweet, rest. She needs it. Like she's working her ass off, and I would say to her, babe, last week you were fucking like, this is the first stages of it. Last week you were like, oh man, I need a break off. I hadn't had a day off in a month. And then we got 3 days of no bookings or 3 days off. And she was like, oh man, like, oh, my money's going. And I said to her, like, you were asking for that. Like, so take it while you got it.
Yeah. And
I said, because I'm pretty much just this person that's like a counselor just going, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, like, because it always is. Yep. And I said, because we have like a flow of, everyone brings in bookings on like Thursdays. It was weird. Like that's when they, oh shit, I got to book that coffee cart. So we always get a lot of late bookings. And then we get a lot of early ones as well, but they always sort of come at the same time of every month. So then she'll look at next month and she's like, oh, we have got nothing for next month. And I was like, oh, like, have you not learned from 5 years? It fills up, and then all of a sudden we don't have our own time. So that's why I'm trying to get ahead with our staff as well, just getting more staff and trying to alleviate the pressure off of us. And that's been nice. I have been able to focus on my development because it's been demanding a lot more of my time lately. And it's only going to get worse. And I've said to Judith, hey, like, we need to be getting some systems in place. I can help out. And if we don't want to turn down work because like the same aspect as before. If you're not growing, you're dying. So we just need to make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best position to take on that business.
Yeah, I mean, it is almost a blessing in a way where you do get that downtime because, like you said, it's actually the opportunity for you to grow. Like whether that's reflection, whether or not that's planning for the future, it almost takes that downtime pressure to be able to push you into actually, how do we develop? How do we grow? Like if you're consistently, it's very hard to do it when you're caught in the busyness. Like I think
impossible, man. Like
and it's just like you almost need to take those downtimes to be able to step back and reflect. And as we were talking about it previously, that's why I kind of brought up the opposite. So what you do when you're busy versus what you do when you're quiet, or what you do in a high versus what you do in a low, it kind of just dawned on me that actually it was the same thing. Like, because you mentioned taking a step back. Well, often the thing when it's low, like if I'm going through a shitty time, often it's because I'm overthinking that shitty time.
Yeah.
And so then what do I need to do? Well, fucking step back. Like, I need to get out of the stress that I'm creating on myself rather than the stress that the external environment is creating on me. And
which is easier said than done.
a lot easier said than done.
But
But in the same thing, so when you're overwhelmed because you're busy, take a step back. Like, find whatever take a step back means for you. Like, it might not be literally walk outside, and it might be literally walk outside.
Yeah.
But if you can take that step back, and I think I actually did want to do one on meditation, like another podcast on meditation.
Yep.
In the future.
Yeah.
So
it's probably been a year, almost coming
Yeah.
up a year.
Yeah.
I'll look up the episode, but yep.
Yeah.
On.
So I won't go too much in that, but I think that is a process in which will help you to see that you're in that stress state, either high or low. When you're there, being able to take that step back. And then for me, realistically, it just comes back to, what can I do right now?
Yeah.
You know, that's the Stoic Principle 101, right? Like, do what you can control, not what you can't control.
Yeah.
And it's almost that step back allows you the space in which to then be able to figure out, okay, what is now in my control? And realistically, apart from the emotion of it all, there's no real difference between being in a high or being in a low. Like, the high feels a little bit nicer because you're wanted. The low feels a little bit shitter because you feel like you're not.
Yeah.
But realistically, the sense of overwhelm is still going to be exactly the same. And it almost, the way out of it, and how I deal with it anyway, is actually the same, whether it's positive or a negative. It's take a step back, reflect on what you need to do, and just focus on that.
Yeah, that's where I guess obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
You know, like you kind of like, oh shit, this is an obstacle.
Yep.
All right, analyze it.
Lean into it.
Lean into it. Go.
Yep.
Go through that obstacle. Go over it. Whatever you have to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I reckon that's a good way to leave it.
Yeah.
Take a step outside. I think, guys. You know, if you have a bit of stress, you know, just take a page out of the Pages book. Yeah, that was a dry joke. So I'll see you never.
Please subscribe just for the dad joke. Cheers, guys.
Catch you later.